Have you always told the truth?
I've always tried to.
I think if we were to just go around this room, there are a lot of immigrant stories. You know, all my grandparents, came over here.
The federal government is going after school districts, trying to force them to let boys shower with little girls.
I never questioned Ted's anything having to do with his religion. I just said, you can't lie and hold up a Bible.
He is becoming ISIS's best recruiter.
Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders have the identical position on health care.
And he dipped 50 bullets in pig's blood. And they shot 49 of those people. And for 25 years, there wasn't a problem.
George Bernard Shaw. He knows nothing and thinks he knows everything. That points clearly to a political career. Charlie Chaplin. I remain just one thing and one thing only, and that is a clown. It places me on a far higher plane than any politician. George Orwell. Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable, and to give an appearance of solidity to pure wind. Politicians lie every day without fail. Every POTUS candidate this cycle has told a fib, an untruth, a lie. Why does truth not matter so much in politics? And why do lies stick to some worse than others? Welcome back, New York Times bestselling author, presidential historian, and Reagan biographer, whose new book is Last Act, The Final Years and Emerging Legacy of Ronald Reagan, Craig Shirley. All right, Craig, we've danced around this for a while. Let's get right to it. Why do we as voters not care when they lie to us?
Oh, I think we do care. I think that sometimes it sticks to some politicians more than others. And I think if they put themselves on a pedestal like Jimmy Carter did in 1976, where he said, I will never lie to the American people, then he was caught in some prevarications or untruths, it stuck to him more. I think that other people, they tell such whoppers is that you just kind of take it with a grain of salt. So it really depends on the individual.
But why do some stick to some more than others? And I bring specifically what's happening here right now. It would seem that everything that Ted Cruz says that turns out to be untrue sticks, and the media grabs it, the people do. Hillary Clinton, same thing. It sticks. Donald Trump, it disappears in a breeze.
I think, Ed, it's about how sanctimonious a politician acts. If they act, higher than mighty, and they put themselves on a pedestal, and they have a vision or communicate an image of themselves that they know best, and that they're never going to tell a lie, and then they're caught in a lie, then I think it just puts that much more sunlight on it. So it really depends on the individual. With some people, you kind of expect them to tell, whoppers or whatever. And, FDR was never held to the standard of, say, like Jimmy Carter, even though FDR was not always forthright and truthful with the American people.
Is it almost, in Craig, that the bigger the whopper is, it's just like any other lie, even when you're school kids, basically. The bigger it is, the more outrageous it is, like the pig's blood one that Donald Trump told, which has been disproven hundreds and thousands of times over and over again. The bigger it is, people go, oh, come on, he's just making a point, no big deal. We got to let her go on this one. We got to forget it, yes?
Yeah, I think so, Ed. I think people become inured and they can tell. The American people are pretty smart as far as sniffing out the truth from fiction. And so when somebody tells a big whopper, they kind of roll their eyes and they say, oh, yeah, I've heard that before. But they don't use it really to pass judgment on the individual if they still like the individual, if they think that that individual is going to help them in their daily lives.
You mentioned Jimmy Carter a couple of moments ago. Now, John F. Kennedy basically talked about a missile gap, and that wasn't true. You have LBJ saying, I'm going to get us out of the war. That wasn't true. In your experiences, Craig, right off the top of your head, which one strikes you then as pretty much one of the bigger whoppers that a POTUS candidate or a POTUS got away with?
Yeah, John Kennedy ran for president in 1960 on the missile gap, and actually he was, President Eisenhower was very upset with Kennedy because Kennedy, in fact, had been briefed by defense and intelligence officials, and he knew that it was just the opposite, that we had a vast superiority, both in number and in lift weight, over the Soviets, but he continued to run on the missile gap in order to help, him with the voters in 1960. I think also Carter, I will never tell a lie, is that it just came across as so sanctimonious. But in the wake of Watergate and the many, many lies and prevarications of Richard Nixon, it worked in 1976. If Richard Nixon hadn't been president in 1968 and then resigned in 1974, we never would have had Jimmy Carter as president in 1976.
Oh, and there's a lot of people going, why didn't we write this down then? It just seems to me, Craig, that what we're talking about here is if you're just an average Joe or an average Jane and you're talking about it, people let it go because we talk about it in our daily lives every single day. There it is. It's so simple when we put it that way, but it's never that simple because it's politics. Craig Shirley, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again real soon. Now, we've talked a little bit about the lies and what they lead to. What do they lead to? Debates, of course. That's where we get a chance to hear the really great ones. Post-debate coverage, this comes from Houston. Next chance for the Republican candidates to get those words out there. Join us right here on Newsmax. Thursday night, 11 o'clock Eastern Time for all the coverage. Now, the rise of the inevitable caucus chaos and baby talk. It's all part of the political animal. Next, right here on The Hard Line.